Hi, my name is John Kim, and I'm a therapist who went through his own rebirth. I share my feelings and revelations. I believe in casual over clinical and with you instead of at you. I come unrehearsed on purpose because self help doesn't have to be so complicated. Before I get into the 5 signs that spell toxic in your relationship, I just want to remind you about my texting that I'm doing. It's not just texting anymore. We have a full active community in a private Facebook group. And of course, every week we send out a 6 to 7 page Google Doc, which is a private link texted to you. And so we go deeper on the topic with that. Plus, we have live streams and all sorts of stuff. So it's not just the texting anymore. It is a full community. The texting now acts as a wraparound through the week, all for $5 a month. I think it's worth it. Check it out. Just go to theangrytherapist.com or on my Instagram at theangrytherapist. All right, let's talk about toxic relationships. These are just broad strokes. I like to put things into a shot glass, so I will get right to it. Obviously, physical or verbal abuse, emotional abuse, any kind of abuse is the number one thing, and that is obvious. So, I want to talk about 5 things that are not so obvious, or maybe things that you have not thought about. The first one is character assassination. Now, there's different degrees of character assassination, and I think this one goes under the radar because sometimes we will joke, sometimes we will call people stupid or ugly or whatever, and we're used to that kind of language because maybe that's how we were raised, or we don't think it's that big of a deal. But that is technically a form of assassinating one's character. And if you don't like it, if it hurts you, you need to express that that is not something that you want to tolerate in your relationship. Like really, put a put a bud on it. How do you say it? Nail it in the bud? I don't know. But express yourself. This is not something that you are no longer willing to negotiate. There shouldn't be anyone assassinating each other's character. And I get there's jokes and I get there's poking and all that, but um, if you are calling people things like idiot or or just speaking to someone in a way that is not promoting and supporting and nurturing, but instead rejecting or humiliating, making fun of all of that, it's actually not funny and it adds up and it cracks your relationship container. So I would say character assassination is a big one. Next one, control. And I know it's obvious, but control can come in many forms. A lot of people actually control without being aware of it. That's kind of their default or their knee jerk. Some of it is cultural. With I come from a Korean family, and kind of old school Korean culture is kind of the submissive woman and the machismo masculine man. Um, and of course, in those relationships, there's tons of control, right? And so it doesn't really matter where it came from. It doesn't matter if it's cultural or it's a family thing or how it came into your relationship doesn't matter. What matters is if you feel controlled, if you feel like someone is trying to manipulate you or control your life, any of that stuff, checking up on you, accusing you of unfaithfulness, purposely making friends or family feel uncomfortable when visiting, punishing you in a certain way, demanding a report on your actions and conversations, not allowing any activity, which excludes them. That's also called codependency. Uh, any dialogue or behavior intended to take away your freedom. So, also maybe like a lot of input on what you can and cannot eat or what you can and cannot wear. There's a difference between opinions and actual control. Next one, lying, being dishonest. Okay, so obviously, but a lot of people just little small lies, right? Little white lies because they don't think it's that big of a deal, and I think all of that adds up to cracking the container of the relationship. I think all of that adds up to slowly losing trust. This is why I say in my book, Miserable Fuck, to don't pee in the shower Now, of course, if your partner is cool with you peeing in the shower, you could write your name on the wall. You could do, you could pee, sure. But if your partner um, isn't cool with it, like my partner wasn't back in the day, and I forgot that women have a heightened sense of smell. Um, you shouldn't lie about it. I did, and I said, yeah, no, I'm not gonna pee in the shower, and did it and chased it down with soap and shampoo, thinking like, how would she know? And she knew. And then probably started wondering, what else are you doing that you're not telling me? Are you feeding the dog under the table? Are you really going to your friend's house? Right. So just little white lies eventually, even if you don't think it's a big deal, they slowly break trust. And more importantly, even it's not even about your partner, it's about you. It's about you living with that inconsistency. It's about you liking your own character. All right, next one, jealousy. Now, it's not the feeling of jealousy because if you're human, you felt jealousy before, and that's completely normal. We get jealous all the time, but it's how you deal with that jealousy that will determine whether your relationship is toxic. So, it's the behavior, it's jealous behavior. So, if because you are jealous, you are controlling your partner or putting shoulds or demands or ultimatums, right? Because you are jealous, you are yelling or being angry or any of that, that's toxic.
We'll be right back after this brief message.
This episode is brought to you by Skillshare. Listen, make 2020 a year where you can explore new skills, deepening existing passions, and get lost in creativity. I talk a lot about creativity and the power of creativity and how that mindset opens you wide for amazing things to happen. Skillshare is an online learning community that offers membership with meaning. So much to explore, real projects to create, and the support of fellow creatives. I've used Skillshare to learn how to podcast better. I've used Skillshare to learn how to blog better. I've used Skillshare to execute structure in my content. I'm going to right now give you 2 months free. Just go to Skillshare.com/angry. Skillshare.com/angry for 2 months of Skillshare absolutely for free. This is the year that you can exercise your creativity muscles. You have absolutely no more excuses. Go check out Skillshare. Any dialogue or behavior that makes someone feel controlled, dominated, or trapped because of jealousy, that is toxic behavior. And of course, puts giant cracks in trust and the relationship. So if you are jealous in your relationship or your partner is jealous for whatever reason, that is your own responsibility or your partner's responsibility, right? That's not something. So if you're jealous and you are acting in jealous ways, that's not for your partner to fix because that stems from you and your own insecurities. Now, of course, you're going to, if you're a jealous person and this is common, you're going to want to rationalize what you're jealous about, and that's, I think, where people don't take ownership, but they convince themselves as well as their partner that it's okay to feel this way or to throw chairs or whatever. Um, and that is not doing the work, right? That is not taking any ownership or looking inward. By the way, as I'm saying this, it's going to be easy to think about if your partner possesses any of these qualities, but I challenge you to actually ask yourself first, starting with a character assassination. Do you assassinate your partner's character? And maybe it's not obvious, but maybe it's subtle, right? Maybe you joke and you make fun of him or her, and you don't think it's that big of a deal, but it is, and they're just not saying anything. Do you control? Do you dominate, even if it's subtle? Do you make comments that make your partner feel a certain way because you don't want your partner to whatever gain weight or um, wear certain clothes or any of that stuff, right? Lying, are you being honest or are you constantly lying, whether they are big or small? And how do you feel about yourself because of that? And then jealousy, are you acting out of jealousy in behavior that is toxic, that is unhealthy, that is unsafe, that is not rational? And the final one is draining slash sucking energy. Now, this is something that energy 10 years ago for me was just meant battery life. I never used the word energy, and today I think it's really something that I use. I think it's an important thing that we should look at when it comes to our own energy, being responsible for our own energy, and also protecting ourselves from other people's energy. So, are you or your partner, and again, ask yourself first, are you draining your partner's energy? I used to be, because back in the day I was miserable and used to live in worry and dread, and I used to, like, if I had a shitty day, I would come home, and instead of taking care of that myself, however I do that, whether it's through a jog or meditation or whatever, I would roll that into the my whatever space I was in, and so I would take people hostage, right? So in that way, I was very toxic. I was just steamroll people. I would be pessimistic and just like yell out that shit's not going to happen and the world sucks and complain. And I wasn't aware of how that negativity and how that energy affected my partner. Now, here's the thing: if you live with your partner, they have nowhere to go. I mean, yes, they can actually leave, but you're now you are really taking them hostage because you're doing it in their safe space, right? Yes, technically they could leave the room, technically they could leave your apartment, house, whatever, but that is their home. And so, if you are draining and sucking energy, I call it walking with a dark cloud. And I get we all go through winters, but if you make no effort to catch light and just continuously drag yourself and live in that cave, that is toxic, So there's there is some time that is um, acceptable for you to have your bad days, right? I mean, if you are devastated because you just got laid off, yeah, realistically, you're going to you may be negative and discouraged for a week or two. That's fine. I'm talking about that being kind of a permanent default, that being your natural knee jerk and a pattern of living where it is constant. So ask yourself, are you doing any of these things in your relationship? And if you are, I just ask you to look at them, because enough of these things can equal a toxic relationship. I think a lot of people think a toxic relationship just means abuse, and that is not true. Any of these things, if repeated over and over to a certain extent, can make any relationship toxic. Thank you for listening. Be well. If you enjoyed any of these words or you think that they will benefit anyone else, I just encourage you to pass them along. Hey, if you have a passion to help others and want to become a life coach, or you just want to acquire tools to change your own life, learn more about our Catalyst Life Coaching Intensive. We are an evidence-based training program with an amazing, authentic, vibrant community, and we give lifetime support. Just go to my website, theangrytherapist.com, and click on Life Coach Training.